No, the one that you texted me about was about what we're doing tonight, and basically, yeah. But I don't think I'd have to look at minutes or my agenda to.
No, nothing.
And we are live streaming now.
Yeah, no.
Just FYI. Okay.
We were giving inputs, but nothing.
Hello, internet.
Wait, pardon?
I said hello, internet.
I was gonna say, do you have internet?
No.
I would say hi.
So I gotta get it.
She's definitely not watching.
You brought it last week.
Yep.
All that stuff to do this, I just brought to us.
Heck fire.
I should have told everybody else that there's cookies.
Yeah.
There's cookies over there. Who wants some? Okay.
Are they all not? Are they all that, or are there other
We
cookies?
each day they're briefing on the work on the phone. They're either went or they didn't have meetings, so let's wait on that one. Then we were given a presentation on
Checks.
we did.
I texted them. They said, hey,
Yeah, we did have to approve
I
the quarterly
apologize.
budget.
I'm missing out. Give me some today.
That was the one thing we did have
That's
to
not our
approve. Okay, and then we had a public hearing on the 2025 tax rate.
Phil wants to know where the checks are. Yeah, there's no action there.
And then the other one was the health insurance, and that's the one that we kicked back, saying we wanted. And then just discussion, proposal compliance stuff, to get our input, so that's gonna go back for more work before the week, so no decision made on that.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for doing this. I thought it was a good idea when you had it.
Discussion.
I haven't seen it today.
Yeah, we had two.
I saw you had one at 3.
1 at 11,
That's what we go back.
1 at 11, 1 at 1.
We
authorized them
46
again, and we will
Yeah.
work several that aren't covered. So I think we got pretty much all of them.
That's all I really care about. I want to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure
But
everybody
they
knew.
weren't
Yeah.
really sure
Yeah, it
how
was a good discussion.
So they're gonna give us a breakdown of where the savings are coming from and everything.
And there was some duplication of services
Right.
and products within the,
Did you motor home yet?
They've already started engineering and everything for it. Yeah. Oh, the plans?
we're gonna, it's details like, the security system and,
Yeah.
the low voltage system and all this other stuff that we're.
Yeah. No, and then we had executive session, there was no action out of the executive session. But otherwise, that was like. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Oh, happy birthday.
Good day. The kids came in for her youngest 40th birthday, which was a couple weeks ago. She said this wasn't her birthday, but everybody came in for that, but so she got to be with everybody. But tonight she's with Joey and Felix. He's gone to ice hockey lessons in San Antonio, and they went and had dinner. Mary made quiche for her mama. So they went and had quiche.
I'm not making any promises like I did last time.
Do they close at 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then he sent us another picture. They were patrolling South Tennessee, and this followed them all the way into Okinawa. That is
How
not.
dare you? I bet you didn't bring him any meat either.
That is a Chinese destroyer. Got that close. Yeah, he's serving his country like he wanted to, and we'll support that. But then he sends these beautiful pictures like that, though, too.
Hopefully it'll be at least
Yeah,
twice.
poor baby had to do a pork pie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Look, watch.
No, he said.
I can make it, I guess you
Is
want.
it the beach and over Russell? He just
The
wanted
beach.
to
Yeah. My dad was.
Yeah, that was your, that was Deborah. His chair keeps hitting that wire. But we're gonna do something different, right?
Not tonight. I'm gonna move it over because my wheel keeps running over. I'm not exactly a featherweight.
I just looked at my calendar tomorrow. I have jury duty at 9 a.m.
Here or?
I have one.
I got one.
I checked. Yeah, I checked.
I think that's the one that's probably gonna stay there. So we probably need to get one of those thick wires anyway.
It was on Monday.
Don't worry about it.
Well,
I
blue
just
one, we
make
just
sure
got
I'm
a huge amount of stuff
Just
everywhere.
put an alarm.
Yeah, I'll move it.
So I-
They pulled it that way because it was that printer was over there. I'll just run that over there tonight just to get it out of the way. We're gonna have to figure a different way. I unplugged the blue wire that came across it. It was just kind of on this to the switch, and so this is all still plugged in, but the blue.
I did. Deborah, I'm being criticized because I didn't bring the cookies in that I said.
Well, I just wasn't particularly looking at it on live stream, but I can go get them.
I was just kidding.
I don't know if you have time,
I'm
Bill.
not bringing
There's 2 minutes.
I'm not bringing it.
2 minutes.
Yeah, you got 120 seconds.
There's a lot of options back there. There's cupcakes and
They're old.
cookies,
They're old.
all kinds of stuff.
But they're old. Ooh.
Well, the cupcakes are from the birthday, Miss Hilda on
That was
Friday.
Friday. It's that old. Birthday.
And so we celebrated, as we always do.
Besides Sierra, Hilda's the youngest person in the office, right?
I don't know. Maybe
I think
April.
Hilda.
April.
Oh wait, April's younger than you.
I don't know.
Who's younger? You or?
We're going into age. We're going into age discrimination now.
Is Hilda really younger? Yeah. So Sierra is. It's Sierra and Hilda, and then everybody else.
Sierra is just a baby.
Paul's chasing you down.
Sugar, you
Well,
got
no, open it up.
Open it up.
Paul. Open it up.
sugar it up and send y'all home. That way,
Comments at 5:30.
it's like a bunch of kids.
Help yourself.
Councilman Murr says that we're opening the cookie tray for public comments at 5:30 p.m.
5:32.
No, that was the cookie tray. We opened the cookie tray.
Deborah's ready. She's ready.
I'm sorry. Let me do this, and I'll.
Sorry.
No, that's
Okay. Tell me when you're ready. We'll open it up.
I'm just so excited.
See, you're stirring up trouble.
Yeah, my husband verified it sounds really good.
Nice.
Hallelujah.
They had a really good tech support guy come in a little bit early and help them out.
I saw that, yeah.
We can't get him in here very often, you know. This is one of those.
He's way too expensive.
That's right.
He charges
My
negative
audacity.
$14 an hour.
My audacity is what was that so happy.
I said negative. I pay them for me to come by.
We understand.
Yes, I know you do.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Ready?
All right, we're going to open the special called meeting at 5:31 with a roll call.
Gina Martinez, District 1.
Okay.
Like citizens' comments. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Council. Patricia Lamford, city employee. And I'm here just to comment.
You still have to say your address.
Oh, my address? My work address or my home address?
Home
Ask-
address. Is what
Huh?
You're supposed to
Well-
say your home address.
Okay,
Right?
7100 Dubies Drive, San Antonio, Texas, 78216.
Thank you.
We'll get it from you.
But I work
Yeah,
at 703
never got
Paris.
We'll get it.
I just wanted to say I'm thankful and grateful that you guys provide us and offer us health coverage. A lot of us are at that age where we're beginning to utilize it more. And I think those of us that are utilizing our apprehension in changing what we already have known for a couple of years and it's working and it's comfortable is the unknown. The coverage, it's a very new company. I don't know anything about the new company that's vying for the business, but we're just nervous because some of us have health conditions and we're on special medications and everything is going good. And now we've got to start from step one. And we may have to change medicines. We may have to change doctors. And I know a lot of us, and I know this just, from previous meetings that we've had during open enrollment, we're not taking full advantage of all the benefits we have. But those of us that are and are staying on top of our health because we need to stay healthy, we're just nervous and apprehensive about the change. But I do want to thank you very much for looking out for us and considering, everything that we're, considering the change and what we're going through. I personally feel that when we didn't have enough time to kind of look deep down into it. I know Susan was very sweet and kind and trying to rush and get information back to us as we were throwing it at her and throwing scenarios at her. But I don't think a lot of us as employees feel like we had enough time to kind of delve into it and check to see if this is a good move. But nonetheless, I know that you guys are going to do what's best for the city. I just want to say thank you for giving us health care. And our apprehension is just that, the unknown. But anyway, thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak for citizens' comments? All right. Next item is discussion and appropriate action on changing health insurance carrier. For this, I don't see Leroy.
No, it's me.
Okay.
Leroy's got other issues.
And I want to start by just, I'm gonna hand it over to Scott here, but I think that the will of the people, the city council, is that we do as good of a job for the city employees as we possibly can. City employees keep this. I mean, you guys keep this place going. You're the ones that keep the wheels on the bus, and so when we look at these things, our first obligation is to the citizens, but part of our obligation to the citizens is taking care of the employees who are taking them. So it is incredibly important for us to choose the right thing that is right for the employees. So with that.
Yeah. So thank you all for having this special meeting. And thank you, Councilman Dyer, for the idea to have this special meeting. As you all know, so last Tuesday we met as a regular council meeting, our regular council, and this was an item on the agenda for your consideration with changing the healthcare provider. And we as staff, you understand the time frame of packets and creation and all of that. We had our meeting with the Marsh McLennan folks on the Wednesday prior. Packets and information are due that Wednesday, that day. And so we did feel rushed, and we didn't really have time to run this by the rest of the organization. Now, I'm just being candid. I was comfortable with the decision that I was recommending. I think it is something that would be in the long-term best interest, but there are a lot of unknowns. And I think the best course of action was to be able to have a conversation with employees. So I really appreciate you giving us the time to do that and calling a special meeting so that you could make the decision after we had that opportunity. So what I want to do is just revisit what we're talking about. The other thing I wanted to make you aware of is that as of this morning, there was one change. So first, this is the TML. So the city, wait, that's United Healthcare. Why is that United Healthcare?
You're on 7.
Probably because, there we are. Yeah, hold on. Let's do that. We'll see if I can actually enlarge it on the screen though. Yeah, I thought it was.
Thank you.
Let me turn. You want these lights off here? Can you see where we're at? That may help you. The glare. Nope. Is that a little better? It's a little dark.
There. All right. We'll see if it cooperates. Is that legible? Can y'all read that?
Difficult.
So you see it's medical, it says medical BCBS and alt or alternatives. This is the TML plan. The city participates in a pool with the Texas Municipal League. We're lumped together with a lot of other cities throughout Texas. And it does provide us some protection as a city. Our rates, if you go look at the private sector, a lot of times if you're on an individualized plan and you haven't had the greatest of years, you might get hit with a double-digit increase. And being a part of the pool, we've been sheltered from a lot of that. But as Marsh McLennan has pointed out in the past, our organization over the last several years has actually had really, really good utilization numbers. We're very, very low, 30%. And the industry likes to see 80% or less, and we're at 30. So that makes us very competitive. And so that's one of the reasons why we went out, is just to see what the market would give us. I told you there was a slight change. It's not reflected here because, again, we just got it this morning. But TML came back with an 8% reduction on the current plan. So they had initially offered a 5% reduction if we didn't go out to the market. We'll give you 5%, but don't go out to the market. Because we chose to go out to the market, when we presented it to you all, that offer is off the table. Now, I told you candidly during the meeting and reiterated that if you were to choose to stick with TML, staff would do its best job to get that discount back, because once they offer it to you, come on, you can't take it back. No backsies, no take backsies. But they did one better. They gave us an additional 3% as of this morning. So they reinstated the 5%, added 3%, and that's their current offer. It's not on the screen, but it's an 8% discount. And you'll see as we go through the other plans what their percentage differences are, and they're more than 8%. So they're still the highest option, but that would be the cost of staying with TML, and it is a reduction, which all in all is not a bad thing. Did someone say they wanted to see this bigger?
Please.
Is it? Was it just doing it for me?
In change.
There we go.
There we go.
I have to do that first. So I don't know. Yeah, I can.
So this is a bit of an eye chart. Can you walk us through this?
A little bit. So what you're seeing is that what the city pays, we only cover the employee. For your information, some cities choose to pay part of the dependent coverage. Hondo, for example, pays half of dependent coverage. But we only pay that employee-only price of $768.43. That's the current rate. Our renewal rate would be 8% off of that. Do you have that number handy? Okay. I had a printout earlier.
So it's roughly $700,
Kill the money.
just over $700.
Yeah. And then we have a couple of different alternatives, and you can see the copays along the top. So here's your copay, $1,000 to $4,000. This one's $750 to $4,000, and this one's $1,500 to $5,000. So the main difference is how much the employee is going to pay out of pocket before they start receiving they get their true benefit. And the more that comes out of pocket, there's an inverse relationship with the price. The cheaper the price would be to the city and the employee. Employees pay, since the city pays the employee portion, employees pay if they're covering their employees plus spouse, just as an example. You would take this $1,553.25 and subtract the $768.43, and the difference is what the employee pays to cover their spouse. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's how these plans would work. But this is the original. This is the plan that we're on right now. These are the benefits that we receive. So it is a PPO. The deductibles, individual and family, are $1,000 and $2,000. Co-insurance is 20% after deductible. Your out-of-pocket max is $4,000 and $8,000 for individuals and $8,000 for families. And then it just tells you what your copays are, et cetera. I think I can read through that. And you see the non-network co-insurance is 50% after deductible. I was looking for the out-of-pocket maxes are there. So this is TML.
Oops, there goes your screen.
What's that?
We're getting ready to lose the screen again.
Wonderful. Yep. The small one's easier to use, but it's more finicky for sure. I have to change this one. No.
Oh, okay.
That's weird. When you unplug it, it goes away.
I didn't pay attention to that. I was looking
Hey,
down. I was trying to move.
I'm ahead of Leroy. I'm not holding it there. Why is that working? No, it's not working.
He said it was finicky, and then all of a sudden it was drawn, and I'm like, I was looking down.
There. All right. So these were the three kind of options.
Okay, you've switched. This is now your primary monitor. Hit Windows.
Oh wait. No, presentation.
Hit
Okay.
Windows P.
Windows E.
P. Project. Windows E is Explorer.
You're gonna charge us overtime for
I had it on extended. I wasn't showing, but now
There you go.
there we go.
Now bring up the PowerPoint.
Good. It's up. Hold on.
Just escape out and represent.
That's what I was trying to do. It wasn't listening to me when I hit escape. So then we brought you a couple of United Healthcare options. These are not the ones we recommend, but they're kind of as close as we can get to what TML was offering. The benefits aren't quite as rich for the employees, but the cost savings are very good. So I'll show you. I'll zoom in on those so you can see those real quick. Remember, we were talking about those co-pays. There's BCVS. This is your current. So your current plan is on the left, and then you have the two United Healthcares to the right. And you can see, like, right off the bat, the cost savings for the employee only under this first United Healthcare plan, you go from $768 to $581. So there's a pretty significant savings per employee by moving to that option. When you compare the options side by side, you're still looking at $1,000 and $2,000, a 20% after deductible, but the out-of-pocket max goes up to $7,100 and $14,000, right? So not that's why this plan is cheaper, is because ultimately the employee's going to have to pay more out of their pocket if they really hit the maximum utilization, if they have a hospital stay or something like that. And most of the time, you're not going to get anywhere close to that, just an average year, but that's what that is. And then here's another United Healthcare plan. This is a different option. It's slightly more expensive, but still a significant savings. And remember, we talked about the 8% reduction that TML offered us. You can see in green, that first plan I mentioned, it's a 24% savings. The second plan is a 17% savings. And this is what it would look like for the employees. It's a $2,000 and $4,000. So basically you're doubling your individual and family out of pockets. It's 0% after deductible though. So that's richer. You know, think about that. Then TML is 20%. So once you meet your deductible, you don't pay anything. And then your out-of-pocket maximums. So this is this kind of middle plan, this plan would be the one that staff would recommend if we were to go with United Healthcare. But it's not the cheapest, but we think it's.
And you said that TML is using United Healthcare, so
No. They are using Blue Cross
Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, gotcha.
So that's what this BCBS,
Gotcha.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. They were United Healthcare. They switched to Blue Cross, I think, like 2 years ago. So that was the United Healthcare option. And then the option that we presented to council, by we, I mean staff, myself, primarily, and Leroy, was the curative option. Curative is the weird one. They're the new one. They're coming to this market. We talked about the fact that there are 4 major healthcare providers in the United States. It's Blue Cross, it's BUCA, right? Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Cigna, and Aetna. And curative wants to be a fifth. How that acronym changes, I don't know. Is it going to be BUCOC? I don't know. It could get dangerous. depending on how you say it, I guess. But anyway, they want to be the fit. They want to be Curative. And Curative, in entering the market, has basically rented the Aetna First Health Network. So they have a bunch of providers from day one, if you want to think of it that way, because they're paying a premium to Aetna to utilize their provider network. But what makes them really unique is when you start to compare the benefits for those that are covered, you get something that looks like this. 0.0000000, which understandably sounds too good to be true. They're trying to do insurance a little differently. We all know that there's a lot of paradigm shifts going on, whether it's AI or whatever, or Elon trying to change the world to electric. They're trying to change the healthcare industry to be more focused on preventative care and to get people more involved in their own care. And so they require in the first 120 days, they require a assessment, or what do they call it? A baseline. They call it a baseline. You can call it whatever you want. Basically, it's a phone call where you talk to two different people. The first person you talk to is someone that knows the plan inside and out and makes sure that the new person, this new covered individual, understands the health plan that they're now part of and how to use that plan, and walks them through that and answers questions. And then the next part of that same phone call, different person, you get transferred, I'm sure, to this other person. It is a confidential call with a healthcare professional to talk about your personal situation. What issues are you dealing with? What do you need help with, etc. Now, some people would see that as a major invasion of privacy, which it is. You know, and they'd probably be rightfully concerned. Is this insurance company? Are you going to use that information against me? Well, very possibly, but insurance companies already know everything they want about you if you're a covered individual. Like, they get everything already. They already digest it. That said, as we learned today and presented to the staff today, there's no requirement on the part of the individual to answer any of those questions. All they have to do is participate in the call. So they can listen the first half, and the second half they can say, I really prefer not to share any of my personal details. And they say, thank you very much. And they hang up, and it counts. It's a baseline. But if you don't do that baseline, you do not get the $0 copay, $0 whatever, all that. That's the benefit. That's the price you pay, is doing that baseline call. So we had that conversation with the staff today. We walked through, y'all remember the prescriptions. They have a prescription program where they're working exclusively with HEB, the HEB pharmacies. However, listening to the lady present today, it reminded me a lot of when I worked for another city and we did our own, we self-insured, because they do a lot of backdoor dealing in a good way for the benefit of the employee or what have you. So one of the things that they've done just since Tuesday is they've added the Walmart here in Castroville, the Walmart pharmacy. So they will accept the Walmart pharmacy and consider that in network. The other thing they've done is, to the extent that they know that they're growing their network, to the extent that doctors are not in network and they're specialists and there's not someone else you can see for a variety of reasons that they walk you through. It's not just because you like this guy better than this guy, but like it really has something to do with your well-being. You're able to show that. They have a program that's called the Zero Card. And basically, they make an arrangement with that office for you to cash pay at the window with that office, and it all goes on a card. You still pay nothing, even though they're out of network, even though they haven't agreed to be in the network. So I feel like they're doing a lot of really creative things to make this plan that employees can use. But all that said, it's a change. So as you heard Patricia talk about, and we heard from several employees today, anytime there's a change, there's no guarantees. And I think the lady that presented to us was very candid about that. You know, there are a couple of people that really tried to nail her down. Well, can you tell me that this is going to be covered? And she said, absolutely, no, I can't. You know, that's something that you're going to have to work through once you're covered individual. But I can tell you and she kind of walked us through her own experience. From my own experience, this is what's happened. This is what I've lived through. She had an on-a-bill accident. She's had really serious back injuries and some other things. And the plan has worked out very, very well for her. So, this is a person that comes from the industry. From talking to her, she's been doing this since she was 18, and I don't know how old she is. I didn't ask, but she's definitely not 18.
19.
Yeah. Anyway, she's been in it for probably a good decade or so, and so she's kind of drunk the Kool-Aid for Curative. So after we did this presentation to staff, we then asked them to participate in a vote, and we asked each one of them to just tell us if your choice, which one would you choose? And so this was the piece of paper we handed out. We still have all of them in a folder, but the tally that we had at the end of the day was that we had 46 employees that participated. There were 7 that were absent for one reason or another. I don't know if all 7 of those were actually covered individuals, though, because we have about 50 on our plan. So we heard from most of the people who are actually on our plan today, 46 of the 50. So 13 voted to stick with TML, Blue Cross Blue Shield. 3 voted to use United Healthcare, and 30 voted to use Curative. And the takeaway from that is, regardless of the decision we make, we're going to upset some people. But that was kind of what we knew to begin with. Unless they didn't know any better, we just left things the way they were and didn't know the options that were available, right? So what? Again, I was very candid with the 2 groups I spoke to. I do think that this will be a good plan. I understand that it'll be changed. I understand that there are people who are seeing specialists that have gone through a rigmarole to get everything lined up. And all I can say is that I'm going to continue to do things the way I've always done them, which is to be compassionate and work as hard as I can to make it right for them, try and help their situation be better. And I think Curative is a good partner for that, because they seem to be willing to bend where they can, right? And as much as they can, they appear to be really flexible in helping individuals line up the healthcare they need, using the most efficient and cost-effective means to do that. So our recommendation hasn't changed. The other aspect of this that I don't remember, I think we went through with council, but that was the vision and dental changes. Do y'all recall talking about that as a council? Okay, so let me show that to you real quick. There were some other, real quick, okay, wait. There were other slides, I think. This just talks about some of the pharmacy benefits, some other things. We did confirm that the pharmacy, if it's something that has to be temperature controlled, they're going to ship it in a package that's temperature controlled. Anyway.
And they still do mail order medicine prescriptions?
Yes.
That's what they put.
They'd prefer you to do that. They're preferring things that keep the cost down, because it makes it ultimately less expensive for everybody. And the mail order is the best way to go. And this is coming from a company, again, Curative was created by a guy that created one of the vaccines, or one of the
COVID test.
Testing, yeah. The testing, not vaccines, testing for COVID. All right. What's the other one?
Did we find out if ER visits outside the state would be covered?
Yeah, so they have, because they're part of that First Choice network, they have hospitals across the nation. Primarily, it's Methodist and Christus here in the San Antonio area.
North Baptist.
That's their
Baptist hospitals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Baptist, Christus,
that's
Methodist.
not everywhere, though.
Understood. So but the short of it is, yes, they do have coverage, and push come to shove, if you find yourself with what the lady kind of explained today, if you find yourself they basically offer a concierge service through their navigator process. So when you have that initial call, that baseline call, you're actually having the person that's going to be assigned to you as your account
Case
person.
manager.
Yeah, and that case manager is actually going to proactively text you on a monthly basis. Now, you don't have to respond to those texts, but they're going to say, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? Blah, blah, blah. So you're going to have a contact information in your phone that, worst case scenario, if you're traveling, that's the first person I'm contacting is that case manager. Hey, I'm in North Dakota. I just had a car accident. My wife's got to go, whatever. Yeah. Like, where do I go? What do I do?
So
try to
find
get
out
that
right here is because right here we're away from our home base and everything. If we're out of state, we have to call and let them know, hey, we're being rushed to this.
But the good news is, because it's a national network, there's very likely, depending on where you are, there is something that's in network within range of you, right? They also, go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, anytime you're in an emergency situation, a car accident, if they take you to a hospital that wasn't in network, it automatically discounted in network.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, she did go over, and she did go over that today.
Yes, yeah.
So you weren't in the room and didn't hear her say that, but she did say that.
Yeah.
She covered that, yeah, during emergencies. Now, very often, not very often, depending on the treatment and where you are and how long the treatment takes, they may want to transfer you to a covered, to an in-network facility at some
Cover
point.
The transfer,
Right. Yeah.
the
Oh,
ambulance
they didn't
cost
say
or the kilo cost and.
Because you're a captive audience, right? In an emergency situation, there's nothing that can be done about that.
No, but loved ones will worry while you're like when they're having, is the ambulance going to be covered or is the helicopter ride from one hospital to another going to be covered? The loved ones don't have time to, worry about their person and then, oh my God, these are going to be all additional, is my covered? That way they know up front that, yeah, it's going to be covered.
So then we briefly covered these other options with staff, and I'll go over them with y'all real quickly. So the short of it is that for vision and dental and AD&D and basic life, we would switch to Mutual of Omaha, and it's cost savings. It's a slightly richer benefit with cost savings to both the city and the employee. These are all paid for. Wait, no, yeah. We only pay health. We actually pay our vision and dental, right? City paid vision and dental
Yes,
for all
except for
employees.
just them places,
I
yes.
forget.
And this basic life. We just pay for our dependents on any of it.
All right, so I'm gonna put this enlarged. So right now we're under standard. This is a Mutual of Omaha look, and you can just see, it's going from the $42 renewal to $34.80, $6 savings, and then if you just compare the side-by-side benefits.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused.
Uh-huh.
When we're looking at dental,
Mhm.
is that curative?
No, this is Mutual of Omaha.
These are
Okay.
So
totally
everything
different
in
now.
this presentation, in this slide deck, is all going to be Mutual of Omaha.
And it's for dental.
So
and
curative
vision.
is health, and like even with TML right now, we have TML for our health, and then we have the standard for our dental
And the
and
visas.
Avises for our vision.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Majority of all health insurances are two different
Right.
programs.
So this is all going to be mutual. Everything you see on this slide deck will be Mutual of Omaha. Was there another question? So then, just looking at the benefits of these, really similar. You have $1,500 maxes, $50 individual, $150 family. They both cover orthodontia for juveniles, for children. I think one of the main changes is the dental program is now, is it policy year or calendar year?
It's,
The dental, is it policy or is it calendar?
It's like,
Calendar. Dental is calendar. And then this is the vision. Again, we didn't spend a lot of time on this today. But again, our renewal is $941 for the employee, and it's at $8 for under the Mutual of Omaha. And then dental is calendar, vision is policy. Got it. And there was one other perk that you mentioned before. I think it was just like, this is a slightly richer benefit where this is covered in full, $150 allowance, right?
that's what we got previously.
Yes, so the contact lens allowance is much richer than the plan you currently have. So it's 130 now, and then you switch over to 150.
They don't do PRK or LASIK under oath mutual.
That's discount on money.
Yeah, and that's what our current, the current one has a discount. This one doesn't mention it.
And I didn't ask this question. I'm going to ask it. Do they cover if you get glasses or contact? One or the other? Same as the other? Okay.
And then we looked at basic life. So I and here's your current renewal is 31 cents, and this is per $1,000 of coverage. And the option or mutual Omaha would be 24 cents per $1,000 of coverage.
Scott, if
Yep.
I might add, the dependents, anybody who currently has dependent coverage, because the employee pays for that, they will be grandfathered. So we, that mutual Omaha will have whatever coverage comes in.
without having to go to anything out of medical or anything else. Yeah. Then we have so this is basic life. Then we have a voluntary, or I'm sorry, then you have a long-term disability, and then there'll be voluntary. So there you are, 80 cents per thousand versus 65 cents.
So Scott, if I could just add,
Mhm.
pre-existing condition, mutual Omaha is giving you the 3x credit. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to leave all over again, just switch it over.
That's long-term disability. This is the voluntary life, and that's the last one. I'll bring that up. So this is new, so that's why you don't see a comparison on this one.
What does the A, D, and D stand for, please?
Accident, death, and disability or dismemberment. So what you're seeing in the bold is the guarantee issue without any type of medical. So our employees can buy for their employee, they can get up to 50,000, and no medical would be required. And for their spouse, up to 25,000 with no medical. And then the children, I don't know what the.
It's 10,000, that's a plan for 10.
Okay.
And then just very important, if you're enrolling your spouse or your child, the employee does have to be enrolled. And then the spouse can purchase up to 100% of the employee fees, not to exceed that.
For their spouse. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. But if they're buying anything over 25, they'd have to have some kind of medical done. All right. So that's the Mutual of Omaha, and staff's recommending that change along with the change to curative. We didn't take a vote on Mutual of Omaha because there shouldn't be coverage issues or other types of challenges with vision and dental insurance. It's usually pretty widely accepted, and Mutual of Omaha is a very strong brand, very strongly recognized group. Yeah, I think so. I'm done. Yep. But these two ladies from Marsh McLennan are here to answer any technical questions, as you've already heard, that I can't answer, or questions you may have about the plans. Like I said before, it is going to be a change if we move to anything off of TML. And that change comes with its complications, right? But if we're just looking at what did the employees say and what were their preferences, I'll read the numbers one more time just as a reminder. It was 46 total employees that were surveyed. 13 voted to stay on the TML plan. 3 voted for United Healthcare, and 30 voted for curative.
Would you just quickly summarize the staff recommendation, please, that we're going to vote on?
So staff is recommending changing the health, dental, and vision care providers. And for health care, we're recommending leaving the TML pool and seeking coverage with curative, which is a new provider. And then for dental, vision, life, accidental death and dismemberment, and voluntary life, we're recommending Mutual of Omaha.
Okay. Let's start with, do you have questions about questions? Okay, council members?
I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to talk to all the employees.
Mm-hmm. It was a great suggestion.
Councilman King?
No questions.
No questions.
They answered my questions, especially about the continuity of care. That's huge.
Right.
I mean, for something that we gotta make sure that our employees have that continuity of care, especially if they have certain diagnosis where they have to drive 3 hours away just to see the specialists and everything.
Sure.
So as long as our people are covered, that's the big thing.
What is I know we talked about the national coverage. What about international coverage? How does that work? How does that
Like on
change?
cruises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, unless it's deemed a true emergency, we're not covered. But not any carriers do that.
Right, but
Yeah,
true
obviously,
emergencies are.
always have to buy a trip insurance. There was one other thing I was going to mention. So we did, so between Tuesday and Monday, Susan worked with all we sent out a request to employees that if they wanted to know whether their doctor was in network or out of network with Curative or any of the other providers, to contact Marsh McLennan. They'll keep the information confidential and allow them to verify whether or not they're in network or out of network. So we had 24 employees that took advantage of that. Of the 24 employees that submitted information, 19 of the providers were in network. There were 5 that were not. The 5 that were not, 3 of them, one of them was a rehab place. I think it might be the rehab that's up the street. I'm not sure. And then 2 were the urgent cares, not Jafar, but the 2 urgent care facilities, a little Alsace clinic and the other urgent care are not in network. And then there was a random kind of family practice that was in San Antonio that wasn't covered. And that's 4. I don't remember what the 5th one was.
Well,
Yeah, their individual name, but obviously the practice you mentioned, the other 2 are just names.
Okay.
well, urgent care has a family practice in it, and so it's not in it either. So that may have been one of them.
So which one is covered under?
So there were 19 of the 24. Jafar is covered from here, and like I said, there were. I don't have a list in front of me of all the covered ones, but of the 25 that we looked into, 19 were in network, which that's a really good sign. The other thing, just to mention, I've talked to the city manager in Hondo. Their organization is not as healthy as ours, and so they're really battling premium increases. So they have kind of an opposite problem from us, but they're actually looking at switching to Curative as well, mostly so that their employees who are dealing with these major challenges can save some money. So they know that they have a group that's fairly sick, and they're still looking at Curative. So their effort has been all around the hospitals and the doctors in the Hondo area to see if they can get some of those people in network. And the call that I had with John over about 3 o'clock today with the city manager there was that the way that Curative is responding right now and what they've guaranteed that group is that they're going to use the Zero card. They've already reached out to the doctors and the hospitals and other groups, and they're prepared to cash pay. The hospitals like it or the people in the Hondo like it because by allowing the Hondo employees to use that Zero card and cash pay, the provider is actually going to make more money than they would under Blue Cross Blue Shield, because their cash pay option is a little bit higher than what Blue Cross would pay, but it's less obviously than the employee would have to pay because they're not paying anything out of pocket. So that's their solution. And I think the only reason I share this, I think that just demonstrates that Curative is they're scrappy. They're trying to find solutions and to broaden their network. Again, I don't want to paint too rosy a picture because I don't know what challenges are going to exist, and we certainly have run into our fair share with every change that we've made here.
So
Whether it's
I've got another question,
Yeah.
because as you all know, with health insurance, when you sign up for it, it normally doesn't kick in until 30 days after you sign up. So is there going to be any gap if we switch for our employees from one insurance to another?
No, there won't be any gap, and part of the reason is because when we do an open enrollment, so we're covered through September 30th under the existing plan, and our open enrollment we're planning for this week.
Okay.
So once y'all make the decision, we get to scramble and get everybody signed up on these plans.
I still have a question. I'm not ready for it.
I'm ready to make a motion
I'm not.
whenever you finish.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I think on my side, my two major concerns, one is like everybody? How does this impact the majority of people? But two, it's when you're leveraging the benefits, you have family issues, you have health issues, and these are, I think that once you're in the midst of that, that to me is a huge concern, because that is an individual that is active in this, and the impact to them could be far greater than the general impact of saving a couple of bucks for each person. So can you speak to that in terms of the people that voted to stay? Were those, and I don't want to talk.
Well, it's anonymous, so I really don't know, but I can tell you this, that we have people on both sides from talking to people and their challenges and concerns. I've got employees that don't know, that they've been told that their doctor is not in network. So I've met with at least 2, if not 3, employees that have had that issue where they already know my doctor's not in network. So there are probably 3 of the nay votes that voted for one of the other plans than Curative. But what we don't know is whether those doctors can be persuaded to be in network, and whether this zero card is an option for them. We also don't know what their one of the things we haven't had a chance to look into is prescriptions at a deep level. So Curative has stated that if it is a maintenance drug, whether it's a brand name or not, they've tried to make all of the most commonly used maintenance drugs on their $0 plan, which is unusual. So usually those are tiered, and they've said those would be all on the $0 plan. Now theirs is tiered as well. It's $0, $50, and $250, and that's your copay for your medicine. So it's now that's also good, because there are a lot more expensive medicines that are well over $250, but they're saying it's capped 0, 50, or 250. But what we don't know, and what some of our employees don't know, and they're struggling with, is, but what about my medication? I've already gone through all the approvals. I've already got this assigned to me, and I'm gonna have to do that all over again. And unfortunately, the answer is yes. You're gonna have to go through some kind of approval process. How big of a headache it is, I don't know. Now, I talked to at least one employee who has a similar situation where very concerned, pretty serious medical issue, has a doctor that really is important. In fact, I guess I talked to two employees that fit in this category. Well, they're all in network. The hospital's in network, the facility's in network, the doctor he's working with is in network with Curative. And so they're happy. They're like, great, it's $0. So because they know they've got peace of mind, they know that at least that aspect of it is covered. But there are going to be some unknowns, and like I said, the best I can say is that we're going to work through with every single individual that has those issues to try and get the best outcome possible for them. But we can't make any promises. We've all heard the same presentation, and that is, you got to look up all the prescriptions individually. There's some prescriptions, one of the things they do, so you can look up your prescription and they'll tell you what all the different alternatives are to that prescription and where they fall in their tiers. So let's say you look one up and it's on a $250 list. Well, it'll list out all the other medications, whether they're $250, $50, or 0. And they recommend printing that and taking it to your doctor and saying, hey, these are the other medications. Would one of these work? Now, I know personally that and I'm sure you all know, there are people who just don't respond well to certain medications. And unfortunately, the one that works for them is the most expensive one, right? Because they've already tried the others. I know that. I haven't lived that personally, but I've lived that alongside someone else. So I know that goes on, and sometimes they're just not any good options. But the fact that they're trying every kind of way to solve those problems, I think, is a plus.
Change always, it just really, we've seen this, a number of things, major things that we've changed that we were very hopeful about, and they sounded good. And there were some things that we had missed, some things that we didn't know that we didn't know, some things that we just had done that. So I think that especially something like this that can impact people's lives so dramatically, I'm really nervous about changing. But there's a lot of the conversations that you've had that because of privacy reasons we can't have. And so one thing I do know about you specifically is that you care deeply about these employees. I get that, I see that, I know that. So based on your experience with them, do you feel like there's any, is there any significant impact to like specific employees that would outweigh the benefit to the bulk of the employees? Or what is, with that in consideration, that we're potentially impacting people's lives dramatically, do you still recommend the change?
Well, I've already stated my recommendation. My recommendation is to make the change because I believe that it's in the long-term best interest of the city and its employees, whether it's this group of employees or future employees. Like, I think this is going to be a good plan, but we won't know until we have some experience in it. I don't know enough about any one individual, and nor should I really,
Right.
about any one individual. And I don't know enough about this plan. Again, I think there are a lot of unanswered questions about those who are not covered, what they're going to experience, and the drugs they're currently on, and how they'll be impacted by that. We just don't know. And I don't know if what you're asking me to say is, is the level of disruption to that one individual enough to make it.
What I'm asking you is, based on your knowledge, the things that have been discussed with you, are there any concerns that you have that, because you could have a plan that it impacts one or two or three individuals so dramatically that it would outweigh the general minor benefit to everybody else? Or
I don't think that'll be the case here. I just don't.
Okay.
I mean, I think they've tried to build a plan that's not built for Castroville or its employees. It's built to be a plan that meets the needs of a very broad group of people. And I don't think our conditions here are so unique that they only exist in Castroville. So I've got to believe that this insurance provider is thinking about that and looking at the bigger picture and trying to create a plan that meets those needs.
and this is a 1-year obligation?
It's a 1-year obligation.
Okay.
Now, yeah. So can we rejoin TML afterwards? Yes, you could. What rate would you get? I have no idea. It's all, your annual rate. There's no guarantee from TML for next year. There's no guarantee for Curative for next year. All your annual rates are always based on your experience from the prior year. The difference is when you're in a pool, you don't always get the benefit of your good experience. You get the benefit of the pool's experience. And unfortunately for us, for the last couple of years, we really haven't had that benefit. So over the lifetime, TML's been a good partner. I have nothing negative to say about TML. Nothing whatsoever. They've been a good partner.
I got another thing.
Yeah, please.
I don't see it on the list. Home health. When the nurses or technicians that come and take care of your loved one at home and render treatments at home. I don't see anything on here about that. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know what TML.
We just don't have a comparison between the two.
Yeah, because I know some people, when their loved ones got really, really sick, they needed to have home health care.
Yeah,
There's a home care option.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see it listed here.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't know what those options would be compared to TML's because I don't know what TML's options are either.
okay, all right, I just.
But they're there.
So, are you okay with entertaining discussion from city employees that have come?
That's your call.
Okay.
I'm personally okay with it. We've had a lot of dialogue today, so.
I was just gonna say, it's not good.
Actually, do you mind just
You gotta
stepping
come
up
up.
here? Thanks, Patricia. And thanks for being involved with this. I really appreciate the fact
Well,
that you're.
because I'm one of the ones that really uses my medical.
Yep.
I mean, I like I said, I know the guys are bad. And I think we talked about all the people that interacted with Susan. How many of them were men? Let's just stop at that.
No male
Anyway.
bashing. No male bashing.
So Scott answered my question. So let's say that you guys vote to make the move to a Curative. What if in that year we see we've got a bunch of hiccups? Would we have the option to go look for something else at the end of the year instead of being stuck with a plan that's not working for us as a whole? Because as everybody knows, when a new iPhone comes out, nobody buys it because there's still a lot of glitches and bugs to be dealt with. You kind of wait a few months and you kind of feel the public to see what everybody else is saying. And I know that Curative is very new, so that I think that's what scares us that do use our health benefits to the max. So thank you for answering that. That we do have the opportunity in the next 12 months, if it doesn't work, that you guys would look for something else that would
I
work.
think it'd be a good idea to do the same exercise we did this year and have Marsh McLennan send it out, see what the quotes we get back are, and see if everybody wants to stay with the current plan or move to a different plan.
Yeah, and then ask
I think
the
that's a good
employees,
idea.
hey, what was your experience this year?
Right.
You know, with this group, do we stay with them? Do we need to jump ship or go back to TML? I've been with TML for almost 30 years and I have nothing bad to say. I know that they could be a little bit pricey, but I think Scott explained why sometimes they are a little bit pricey.
Well, I hope
And
y'all
they switch
appreciate.
providers themselves too. So within that, you could go from one to the next.
I hope y'all appreciate that we're trying to do things that are beneficial for our employees because we love our employees, yes, but also because it's a recruitment tool. Like at the end of the day, this isn't about cost savings. I mean, there will be some cost savings, but it really is about trying to do something that I think will benefit the organization and be something that the employees will really be happy with. Now, again, time will tell us whether that's actually true, but that's the goal at the end of the day.
Thank you. Councilman Dyer, you had a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we accept the staff recommendation as presented by Mr. Dixon.
Right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Keep an eye on it. Thank you for all of your
Oh,
input
don't
with
worry.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be, not for me anyway.
Thank you.
Everybody, please know we're not going away. You all need us. We're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you all did.
Next item is discussion and possible action on directing staff to allow exceptions to the drought contingency policy.
So for this, I shared an email out. I had intended to ask y'all about this during the development agreement discussions because there was a lot of concern when we were in stage 4. Are we in stage 4 again already or no? We're this close. So, and we may get out of it next week. You know, we may have, I think there's some prediction of rain next week, but we're going to have several hot days before we get there. So we may get into 4 and then get back out of it again. Who knows? Anyway, in stage 4, we did not allow new water connections. And I provided you in my city administrator report at the last meeting in July, a write-up, which we then talked about as part of my report, that these developers are required to bring water rights. So they should have the same availability of water under the same restrictions as the city or as the other water users, but not allowing them to connect. It holds up a huge process that really only hurts us in the end. It hurts them and it hurts us. So our recommendation is we should probably rethink that aspect of our drought contingency plan if they brought water rights. Now, there's a small wrinkle to that in that, Alsatian Oaks actually hasn't delivered water rights. They gave us a credit against the money that we owe them. So they didn't bring us additional rights. But at the same time, when we looked at how many rights we have and what they were using, we believe that there's additional pumpage capacity. Just looking at the last couple of years and how they performed, we have ended every year with additional pumpage. We still had pumpage we could do. Not a lot. We had some. So one of the things the staff is doing is looking at where we can acquire. We have a water acquisition fund. Its sole purpose is to go out and acquire water rights. You used some of that money to buy or to lease the airport water rights recently. So we kept those water rights, but we can go and purchase some more. And I think that's something we probably should consider at some point. Right now it's $10,000 per acre or whatever.
Per acre foot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yep. It's
And
double what it was outside. And that always happens during drought conditions.
Twice what it was 2 months ago.
yeah,
Whenever you're in, and this is, as I've discussed with a lot of people that have been actually in the buying and selling of water rights, they always stack up on it when you've got rainy years because when the drought comes, they can sell it for a pretty penny. So yeah, this is not the right time to buy. And with the buffer that we've got from the airport, I think that we're pretty safe on that. How many, remind us how many were credited?
it's like 149, I think, is in that. I think it was 149. Not absolutely certain, but I looked at it not too long ago just to refresh my memory.
Phase 1?
for phase one.
243.
No. But their first plat. So when they platted, they had to have the water rights delivered, and they didn't plat all 243. They platted 149. And we told them subsequently they wanted to do it again, and the council gave me direction. Nope, that was a one-time offer. We're not doing that again. So the next time that they plat, they have to deliver water rights.
How many exceptions are we anticipating?
Well, primarily, well, I really don't know. I mean, honestly, because are we going to be in stage 4 next year again, and the year after, and the year after that? Because we're going to be building houses for the next 7 to 9 years. So every year that we're building houses and we're in a stage 4 drought, that would be an exception. So my thought is that this won't be an exception. You're going to authorize staff to make the exception now, and we're going to bring back the drought contingency policy, and we're going to recommend that you amend the policies. It's just out of there. That it recognizes that once a developer has delivered the water rights, that they have the same privileges as anybody else in the city.
But you need to have that in the writing in that, because like you just said, with phase 1, we don't have the full signing over yet for Alsatian Oaks.
Right.
All right, I've got
Phil also had a question.
I had a question from Councilman King also. I'm sorry, did you have an actual question with that? Did I miss that?
I'm just saying, to have that, unless they sign, if they do not sign over the water rights, you're not allowed to connect.
So I want to clarify, if we do make that exception, that it require the actual delivery of water rights, and not, even if the city agreed to give them a credit in the case of Alsatian Oaks, we'd say, well, because we don't have the water rights in hand, we're not treating that as the same as, because I think that could get sticky. Go ahead.
My question related to that. In reality, they gave us water rights through a funding deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was taken care of. And we're going to use that funding to go out and buy water rights. That's the whole purpose of all that. So to me, did they actually give it to us or not? In the next phase, we've told them they have to give us the water rights. We're not going to do the deal yet. So that's a non-issue. Your email, I thought, talked about us just directing the staff to go and redo the drought contingency policy. But you're asking actually two things. Number one is tonight you want to have a temporary exemption to that, and the second part of it is to direct you all to go do the drought contingency policy. Is that?
That's correct.
I guess I read your email.
No, I probably didn't state it correctly. We aren't in stage 4 right now, so technically I don't need a waiver right now, because right now anybody who comes can sign up. Tomorrow. But if it were to start, that's what just in an abundance of caution, I'm saying, well, why don't we go ahead and get a waiver along with a recommendation to change the policy.
And how long do you think it's going to take you where this temporary waiver would have to go before you have the drought contingency policy?
Well, I know Kathy's been working on it. She had August the 27th, your next regular meeting, as the date to bring it forward. I think we can be ready by then, maybe. So we'll be ready by
easily within 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilman Dyer had a question.
I think it would be wise for us to consider, because the volatility of the water and the unknowns, I would support, for example, giving the waiver for the remainder of the fourth quarter, which would take us through the end of September. And then staff could come back, we could reassess, and maybe do it for another quarter. But we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we don't know how long we're going to be in stage 4 or what's going to happen. I hate to set a policy that makes it really easy, and then water gets just worse than we ever thought possible. Then we have to come back and think about changing it back.
Right.
I think.
Well, I've got a question before you get into that. So the reason I'm trying to understand why, what is the reasoning behind not doing new water connections during stage 4 drought?
I thought that was like an Edwards Aquifer thing or a Saws thing, but apparently it's a Castroville thing. No. Well, apparently it's our, like, I don't know who
It's
first.
not Edwards Aquifer. When Roland was here before, he had mentioned that was not an
Right.
Edwards Aquifer thing.
So I don't know where that came, like who devised it, what the rationale was behind it. But I can tell you the rationale for Councilman Dyer, like the reason I'm recommending that we amend the policy to allow it, to make it easier, using your words, is because in my mind, if they bring water rights, then they have access to that water. And if you deny them, or really it's kind of it's almost a legal issue. Like we already gave you the water rights. Why aren't you letting us connect? So,
Well, and again, I want to go back to why was it put in place? Thinking about the
Sure.
impact to water. When we make new connections, are we losing a ton of water when we make the connection? The answer is no, right? What is the reasoning behind not making new connections other than that, we're in a drought? But we'll get into another drought in 10 years with new connections. We're getting a drought right now with the connections that came from Westheim Village and from, even River Bluff. Since we had the last major drought, there's been a lot of new connections that have been happening. So I don't get the reasoning of not making new connections during stage 4 if they are bringing the water rights. And to me, Alsatian Oaks has brought it because they gave us a credit on that, and this was something that was done in good faith because of some of the other stuff that they're doing for the city.
I don't think that it was. I really don't think consideration was given, or adequate consideration was given to the fact that they're bringing water rights. Because I can see why someone would say, "Well, yeah, you're in a drought. Don't let them connect. When you're, in a hole, stop digging." And I can see that logic applying very clearly here. Like, why would you let someone connect in the middle of a drought? They're going to use water. We're already in a drought, and we're already telling people they have to curtail their usage. Why would you let them do that? But they aren't thinking through the fact that that person who's connecting has brought the equivalent water rights for an entire year for them to be able to access that water.
Right.
And they've increased the whole pool of available water supply for the city.
It's basically like saying your neighbor can't, well, I don't want you watering your lawn, but I want to be able to water mine.
To a certain extent, yeah.
It kind of is. If you've got the water rights already there, if you have that capacity already there, if it doesn't, what I'm looking at is there a negative impact to the existing citizens of Castroville? Growth is always an impact. It's always a tough pill to swallow. But is there a direct impact on the cost to the citizens, the availability of water to the citizens that is happening specifically here in Castroville that's not happening anywhere else in the Edwards Aquifer artesian zone? So if Edwards Aquifer is not recommending this, then why is it that we're doing this? And I don't see a direct impact to citizens.
Councilman Curry had a comment.
Okay.
We've talked about this in terms of new development and new subdivisions, but there's also a couple score of vacant lots in the city limits already, and I don't know if we're considering those also in this policy.
Yeah, aren't they required to bring water rights as well? Okay, so if you develop inside city limits on a vacant lot, you don't have to bring water rights. Yeah, so we might need to clarify that in the
In reality,
policy.
and you quote this, that's like a pimple in the butt of an elephant.
Mhm.
Such a small amount for these infill lots
I'm writing that down.
that it's
Yeah.
really to have exceptions and add on to the verbiage. I don't.
Oh no, I'm growing corn on my lot.
What?
I'm just-
You go for
That's
it.
not true. The only other thing, just again from a policy standpoint, the only other thing to really think about is if so right now you all have already done the due diligence, you've already paid to have an engineer review. Are the amount of water rights we're having dedicated enough? Are they too much, too little? We got a lot of feedback from developers. We're asking too much. We're too greedy. And the engineers came back and said, well, you might be asking for a little bit too much, but really we think you're pretty good. And we probably, given the state of affairs, leave it where it is. So you've been advised on that. You paid to have that done. That policy decision has been made. What if it got worse and worse and worse and worse? What could happen is the Edwards Aquifer could change their allowances for pumpage. And I've heard scuttlebutt that could happen at some point. Nothing specific, but just like there could be some changes. But when that happens, that will necessitate a review of our own strategy, how many acre feet we're having allocated, what our drought contingency.
But that is a much bigger, widespread problem that
But
won't be individual to Castroville.
Exactly. Well, and my point is like that will necessitate a review of all of this
Mhm.
again. And I think, anyway, yeah, I don't think making this decision exacerbates that issue.
Okay. I've got a question from Councilman Murphy.
Is Alsatian Oaks the only developer that has already delivered or been credited water rights?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so Country Village brought some, and I'm wondering if Flat Creek. I know Flat Creek purchased theirs, but have they delivered any? Because have they platted yet? I don't know if they've gone their final plat. So I think it's Country Village and Alsatian Oaks right now, but I know for a fact that Flat Creek has already bought theirs, and when they submit their plat, they'll be prepared to deliver them.
Okay. Because I do think it's reasonable that if a developer has already given us the water rights for the houses they plan to build, that we should hook them up because they've already delivered us the water they intend to fill those houses with. My only concern is that if we have water rights already in hand that nominally belong to phantom houses that aren't here yet, but our current citizens are already using them up, we might need to tighten other restrictions as those houses start coming into existence and using the water rights from the developers.
Just as we would if we didn't have new developers with new water rights, it would be the same situation. So
Yes.
absolutely, yeah.
Except right now our citizens are kind of
They get a
getting a
little buffer.
freebie
Yep.
of these water rights that are kind of promised to the future.
Right. Okay. Kathy,
I do want to say something about
if you can come up to the microphone, please.
Edwards Aquifer.
Kathy Adams, Public Works, Atascosa.
Right.
Edwards Aquifer does not direct you specifically how you control the water. They tell you how much you have to reduce by. So if y'all notice when we send the notifications for the stage out, we say required reduction of 30, 35, 40, whatever it is. They just tell you, you figure it out. You have to reduce by this much. But over the years, everyone has kind of looked at each other and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let me look at yours. And they all kind of look the same with some slight differences. So that's where the part about the connections came from. It was there when I started and it just
Right.
stayed there. So it's been, I don't know who or where it started.
We plagiarized it from somewhere, but we can't remember.
We did.
where.
We plagiarized a lot of things
Well, it's
that
been there for
have
years.
and have not made sense. But if you think about it and Councilman Murph alluded to this in one example, but in another example, if they've brought us 200 acre feet of water rights, and during the drought period, they're making, 10 connections, they have still brought significantly more than what they're consuming for those few houses. And so if you think about water rights across all of Edwards Aquifer, they have only so many rights, only so many water rights, so many acre feet that are available for the entire Edwards Aquifer. If somebody brings it from anywhere in the Edwards Aquifer, they're taking it from one person that's using it to another person that's using it. And a lot of times this happens through farms and irrigations as well.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, please, I'd accept a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we direct staff to allow temporary exemptions to the new connections through the end of this year, and to direct staff to finish up the drought contingency policy to be submitted to us before the end of the year,
And this is for
Fiscal
people,
year or calendar year?
calendar year.
and this is for people that have already brought water rights or have,
Developers,
yes.
not people wanting the secondary connection for their sprinkler system or anything like that.
These are for people that have brought, specifically people who have brought water rights
New-
to the city
New
for new connections. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'm saying everything because I think there are just so few connections, and it kind of gives a negative connotation. So to me, it just gives across the blanket exemptions to allow an exemption till the end of the year on the stage 4
Restrictions.
And by then, it will be in the new drought contingency policy that you all will bring to us before the end of the year.
Second,
I second.
Okay,
I beat you too.
I got a motion by Councilman King and Councilman Carey beat you. Second by Councilman Carey. Okay, any further discussion? Councilman Merce.
I don't think we should allow the exemption for anyone, period. I think we should allow it for anyone who brings water rights. Like, if someone buys an empty lot and wants to go buy an acre foot, I think they should be fine too. And if someone wants to go buy an acre foot for a sprinkler system, go for it.
They have.
Go for it. Yeah, but I think we should require that they get the acre.
I'm not willing to change my motion.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
So there's 2 nays?
2 nays, 3 yes. Okay, motion passes. All right,
Who was the other nay besides David?
sorry, Councilman Martinez, Councilwoman Martinez, and Councilman, Councilperson. yes.
Y'all have another opportunity when we bring the policy forward and we can debate what the policy says.
Great. We are through the agenda and adjourned at 6:44. Great. Thank you, everybody. Good discussion.
Grab cookies, the small ones,